everyone pretending to jot something down. Nobody looked at me directly. Barrett, my boss of 4 years, had asked this question as casually as if requesting I wear a different shade of lipstick. His expensive watch caught the light as he gestured toward the two executives from Pure Essence Skincare who sat across from us. They maintained perfect poker faces, but their eyes held a glint of curiosity about how I'd respond. "We're looking for someone who embodies our brand philosophy," explained the female executive, her own face suspiciously smooth for her age. "Your strategic thinking is exceptional, but client-facing roles require certain standards." I felt my cheeks burn as understanding dawned. My nose, the slightly crooked result of a childhood fall, was apparently a deal-breaker for selling face cream. Or perhaps it was the faint scar near my eyebrow, or my asymmetrical smile. The room swam before me as my brain cataloged every perceived flaw they might be referring to. The silence stretched. Barrett cleared his throat, clearly expecting me to enthusiastically agree to surgical alteration as part of my job requirements. Instead, I smiled and replied, "Only vegetables should go under knives." The air crackled. Barrett's fingers tightened around his pen until I heard the plastic crack. The male executive's eyebrows shot up while his colleague's frozen smile twitched at one corner. "Perhaps we should take 5, Barrett suggested, his voice tight. He didn't look at me as everyone filed out. I remained seated, my heart hammering against my ribs. In the glass reflection of a framed award on the wall, ironically, one I'd earned for the agency, I caught sight of myself. I touched my nose gently, feeling its slight bump under my fingertip. When they returned, Barrett spoke as if I weren't there. "We understand your brand positioning completely. I assure you, we'll assign someone who perfectly aligns with your image." I knew then that my career at Brightline Marketing was over. Not because I'd be fired, that would be too legally risky, but because I'd be slowly suffocated through exclusion, reassignments, and gradual erasure. As the meeting ended, my phone buzzed with a notification. Someone had recorded my response and posted it online with the caption, "Marketing exec asked to get plastic surgery for client claps back with savage response." The view count was already climbing into the thousands. By tomorrow morning, I'd be famous. By next week, I'd be unemployed in all but name. And Barrett had no idea what was coming. If you're enjoying this story of workplace betrayal and what happens next, take a second to like this video and subscribe to hear how this unfolds. Trust me, you'll want to see how this ends. My name is Petra Fleming, and until that fateful Tuesday, I was the Associate Director of Digital Strategy at Brightline Marketing. I'd built our social media division from scratch, turning it into the agency's most profitable department. My campaigns had won awards, attracted major clients, and been case studies in marketing journals. I wasn't conventionally beautiful, but I'd never considered it relevant to my job performance. Not until Barrett's question exposed the ugly truth. In his eyes, my brain was secondary to my face. My apartment felt especially empty that night. I stood in front of my bathroom mirror, studying my features under the harsh lighting. My dark hair fell in waves past my shoulders, framing a face that was distinctive. Not ugly, not beautiful, just uniquely mine. The slight crook in my nose gave my profile character. The tiny scar near my eyebrow was barely visible unless you knew to look for it. Was this really what stood between me and professional advancement? The thought made me sick. My phone hadn't stopped buzzing. The video had surpassed 1 million views. Comments poured in. "Queen Energy, never change yourself for a job. That company needs to be named and shamed. This is why we need workplace protection laws." Industry colleagues were messaging me privately, some with support, others with job offers. Journalists wanted interviews. A women's advocacy group asked me to speak at their conference. I turned my phone off and slid down against the bathroom wall, hugging my knees to my chest. This wasn't the kind of attention I'd ever wanted. The next morning, I dressed with particular care. Charcoal pencil skirt, crisp white blouse, the red blazer that always made me feel powerful. No one looking at me would guess I'd barely slept. Barrett was waiting by my office door, his face a carefully neutral mask. My office. Now. His corner workspace overlooked the city skyline. Awards and photos with celebrities lined his shelves, a shrine to his importance. He closed the door and settled behind his desk, fingers steepled. "That video is causing problems," he said. No greeting, no preamble. I didn't record or post it. I replied truthfully. Nevertheless, it exists. The client is furious. They feel misrepresented. I raised an eyebrow. Because someone accurately quoted a request made in a professional meeting? Barrett's jaw tightened. Your comment was unprofessional and has damaged our relationship with a potential multi-million-dollar client. Furthermore, your attitude suggests you're not a team player. Is cosmetic surgery now part of being a team player? I asked quietly. He sighed as if I were being deliberately obtuse. Petra, this industry is about perception. Our clients expect a certain presentation. I was trying to help your career. The audacity stole my breath. By suggesting I surgically alter my face? By helping you understand industry realities. He slid a folder across the desk. We're reassigning the Pure Essence account to Inez. You'll be focusing on internal strategy for the foreseeable future. Inez, my junior by 5 years, conventionally pretty with symmetrical features and a button nose, less experienced, less qualified, but apparently more valuable because of her face. And if I object? I asked, though I already knew the answer. Barrett's smile didn't reach his eyes. This isn't a negotiation. It's a courtesy notification. I left his office with the folder untouched on his desk. In the elevator, I caught my reflection in the polished metal doors and stood taller. They could take my clients, but they couldn't take my dignity. By lunchtime, my access to client files was restricted. My meetings were canceled or reassigned. Colleagues avoided eye contact in the break room, though a few squeezed my arm in silent support. Inez cornered me by the coffee machine. I didn't ask for this, she whispered, eyes darting around to ensure no one overheard. It's not right what they're doing. It's not your fault, I assured her, meaning it. Just do good work. She bit her lip. The Pure Essence people keep talking about authentic beauty in their brand materials. But then they pull this? It's so hypocritical. Her comment lit a spark in my mind. Hypocrisy. The gap between Pure Essence's public image and their private demands. There was something there. Something I could use. That evening, I began my research. Pure Essence marketed themselves as champions of natural beauty and self-acceptance, yet their marketing featured only flawless models. Their social media was filled with inspirational quotes about inner beauty alongside products promising to fix every imaginable flaw. And their engagement metrics were declining, especially among younger consumers. Comment sections revealed growing skepticism about their authenticity. I compiled everything into a detailed analysis, working through the night. By morning, I had a comprehensive report documenting the disconnect between Pure Essence's messaging and actions, and a strategy to bridge that gap. But who would listen to me now? My answer came unexpectedly. As I was getting coffee from the shop across from our office, someone tapped my shoulder. Petra Fleming? A woman with silver-streaked hair and laugh lines around her eyes extended her hand. I'm Helena Walsh, Chief Marketing Officer at Pure Essence. I believe we need to talk. My coffee nearly slipped from my hand. I wasn't aware you knew who I was. Her eyes crinkled. The woman whose response to being asked about cosmetic surgery went viral. Everyone in beauty marketing knows who you are now. She gestured to a quiet table in the corner. Do you have a moment? Stunned, I followed her. Was this a trap? A threat of legal action? First, she said once we were seated, I want to apologize. The representatives we sent to your agency were junior team members who completely misrepresented our values. When I saw that video, I was horrified. I studied her face, looking for signs of insincerity but finding none. Second, she continued, I'd like to hear your thoughts on our brand, directly from you, not filtered through your agency. The opportunity was too perfect. I pulled out my tablet and showed her my analysis, the contradictions in their messaging, the declining trust among younger audiences, the opportunity to embrace authentic representation. Helena's eyes widened as she scrolled through my data. This is remarkably insightful. She looked up, and brutally honest. You asked for my thoughts, I said simply. Indeed I did. She closed the tablet and slid it back to me. Petra, would you be interested in consulting on a project for us? Directly, not through your agency. The offer hung between us, tempting and dangerous. Taking it would violate my contract with Brightline. Refusing it would waste a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I'd need to consider the implications carefully, I answered. Helena nodded. Of course. Take this. She handed me her card with a personal number scribbled on the back. Think it over and call me, but don't wait too long. We're ready to make changes, and I'd prefer to make them with someone who understands what authentic beauty really means. As she left, my phone buzzed with a message from Barrett. All hands meeting at 3 p.m. Attendance mandatory. The clock was ticking. Whatever move I made next would determine not just my career, but my integrity. The revenge fantasy forming in my mind wasn't about destruction, it was about transformation. And Barrett had no idea he'd just handed me all the weapons I needed to make it happen. The all-hands meeting felt like a funeral. Barrett stood at the front of our largest conference room, his expression grave as employees filed in. I chose a seat in the back corner, noting how others subtly avoided sitting near me. "Thank you all for coming," Barrett began once everyone was settled. "I'll be direct. The video circulating online has created significant challenges for our agency. While we respect different perspectives, public statements that undermine client relationships cannot be tolerated." His gaze found mine briefly before continuing. "Effective immediately, all client-facing communications must be approved by department heads. Additionally, we're implementing a social media policy restricting discussion of internal matters." Translation: they were muzzling everyone to prevent further leaks. Finally, Barrett's voice softened with practiced concern. "We want to assure everyone that Brightline values diversity of appearance and thought. Any suggestion otherwise misrepresents our culture." The hypocrisy was breathtaking. Several colleagues shifted uncomfortably in their seats, eyes down. "Questions?" Barrett asked, not expecting any. I raised my hand. The room collectively inhaled. "Yes, Petra?" His smile tightened. "Just to clarify," I said, voice steady despite my pounding heart, "is suggesting an employee get cosmetic surgery to please a client consistent with valuing diversity of appearance?" Silence crashed through the room. Someone coughed. Barrett's face flushed red, then pale. "I believe you've mischaracterized a private conversation," he replied. "Perhaps we should discuss this one-on-one rather than derail this meeting." "Of course," I agreed pleasantly. "I recorded that private conversation so we can review it together for clarity." I hadn't actually recorded anything, but Barrett didn't know that. His eyes widened fractionally. The human resources director suddenly looked very interested. "Meeting adjourned," Barrett announced abruptly. "Petra, my office." As people filed out, whispers trailing behind them, my colleague Damon passed close and whispered, "Chess move," with quiet admiration. Barrett was already seated when I entered his office, his demeanor shifting from threatened to threatening. "That was inappropriate and unprofessional," he stated flatly. "I agree," I replied, taking a seat without waiting for invitation. "Suggesting cosmetic surgery was wildly inappropriate. You claim to have a recording," he said, ignoring my comment. "That would violate company policy on confidential meetings." "Interesting how that concerns you more than what was actually said." Barrett leaned forward. "Let's be practical. You've been a valuable team member, but this situation has become untenable. I'm prepared to offer a generous severance package if you sign an NDA and leave quietly." There it was, the attempt to make me disappear with minimal fuss. "I'll need time to consider," I replied, giving nothing away. 24 hours, he countered. "The paperwork will be ready tomorrow." And I nodded and left his office, feeling strangely calm. In trying to push me out, he'd just opened a door. That evening, I called Helena Walsh. "I'd like to discuss that project," I said when she answered. "But I have conditions." 3 hours later, I had a preliminary agreement that would change everything, not just for me, but potentially for the entire beauty marketing industry. I slept better that night than I had in weeks. The next morning, Barrett's assistant delivered an envelope containing termination papers, disguised as a mutual separation agreement. The severance was indeed generous, but the accompanying NDA was comprehensive. I would be barred from discussing anything about Brightline or its clients, including Pure Essence. I left the envelope unopened on my desk and spent the morning copying my personal files and returning company equipment. Colleagues stopped by with awkward goodbyes. Some seemed genuinely sad to see me go. Others, relieved the disruption would end. Inez hugged me tightly. "This isn't right," she whispered. "Just watch what happens next," I told her. "And remember, who you are is always more important than who they want you to be." And at noon, Barrett's assistant messaged, "Mr. Turner is waiting for your signed paperwork." I gathered my few remaining personal items into a small box and headed to his office, the unsigned documents in hand. Barrett was reviewing presentations when I entered. "All set?" he asked, not looking up. "Not exactly," I replied, placing the unsealed envelope on his desk. "I can't sign this." That got his attention. "It's more than fair, Petra. Most people would consider it generous." "I'm not refusing because of the terms," I explained. I'm refusing because as of this morning, I've accepted a position that would make signing this a conflict of interest. His expression hardened. What position? Senior Creative Director at Pure Essence Beauty. Barrett's face went through a fascinating transformation. Shock, disbelief, anger, and finally calculation. You're bluffing. They wouldn't hire someone who publicly embarrassed them. I didn't embarrass them, I corrected. The representatives they sent here misrepresented their values. The CMO was quite disturbed when she saw the video. The CMO contacted you? His voice rose slightly. We had coffee yesterday. Turns out, Pure Essence is pivoting their entire brand strategy toward authentic representation and genuine beauty. They needed someone who demonstrably shares those values. Barrett stood, hands flat on his desk. This violates your non-compete clause. We'll sue both you and them, I smiled. My employment contract specifies I can't work for companies who are current Brightline clients. Pure Essence never signed with you. They're not a client. His face contorted. Because of your unprofessional behavior. No, because your representatives suggested physical alterations to match their supposed brand image, which contradicted everything they claimed to stand for. They were already having doubts about your agency's understanding of their vision. Barrett sank back into his chair, mental calculations visibly running behind his eyes. What exactly is your role going to entail? I'll be leading their new Beauty Beyond Appearance campaign. No retouching, no filter effects, using non-traditional models across age, size, and ethnicity spectrums, plus a complete digital strategy overhaul. His expression turned patronizing. That approach won't succeed in this market. Aspirational beauty sells products. Reality doesn't. We'll see, I replied simply. Younger consumers are increasingly rejecting artificial standards. Pure Essence intends to be ahead of that curve. And they hired you because? The question dangled, deliberately cruel. Because I understand both marketing strategy and the damage caused by impossible standards, I answered steadily. My face is an asset to them, not a liability. He scoffed. This is a publicity stunt. They're using you to generate social media buzz. Then they'll quietly sideline you once the attention fades. The doubt crept in despite my resolve. Was he right? Was I being naive? Perhaps, I conceded. But I'd rather take that chance than stay where I'm told my appearance needs surgical correction to advance. Barrett's expression softened into something almost genuine. I was trying to help you, Petra. This industry has certain realities. I didn't create them. No, but you enforce them. That's a choice. He sighed. Fine, leave the paperwork. We'll process your termination as a resignation, but don't expect references or goodwill if this new venture fails. Understood. I turned to leave, then paused. One more thing. Pure Essence is planning to announce my hiring publicly tomorrow. They're framing it as part of their commitment to authentic beauty. The story will mention how I came to their attention. If the threat was clear, any legal action would only amplify the story and damage Brightline further. Barrett's expression turned to stone. Get out. I walked through the office one last time, head high despite the mix of pity and curiosity from colleagues. Some would think I was burning bridges. Others would see only the public drama without understanding the private humiliation that preceded it. Outside, spring air filled my lungs as I stepped onto the sidewalk, a free woman. My phone buzzed with a message from Helena. Contract approved by legal. Welcome aboard. Press conference tomorrow at 10 a.m. For the first time since Barrett's question about cosmetic surgery, I felt the tight band around my chest loosen. This wasn't just about revenge. It was about rewriting the rules entirely. But I wasn't naive enough to think it would be easy. The beauty industry had been selling insecurity for decades. One company's pivot wouldn't change everything overnight, and Barrett's warning echoed in my mind. Was I just a publicity stunt? The next morning, I dressed carefully for the press conference. Professional but approachable, minimal makeup that didn't hide my features. The venue was Pure Essence's headquarters, their lobby transformed with banners showing their new slogan, Beauty Beyond Appearance. Helena met me at the side entrance, elegant in a simple blue dress. Nervous? She asked. Terrified, I admitted. Good. It means you care. She squeezed my hand. Just remember why we're doing this. It's bigger than either of us. The press room was packed. Beauty bloggers, industry journalists, and major news outlets. The announcement of Pure Essence's rebranding had generated significant interest. Helena took the podium first, outlining the company's new direction. For too long, beauty marketing has relied on impossible standards and digital manipulation. Today, we're committing to a different path, one that celebrates authenticity over perfection. She gestured toward me. Leading this initiative is Petra Fleming, our new senior creative director, whose personal stand against industry pressure recently captured public attention. Camera flashes erupted as I moved to the microphone. My heart pounded so hard I feared the microphones might pick it up. "Thank you, Helena," I began, my voice steadier than I felt. Like many women, I've spent years receiving messages that my natural appearance needs fixing. Recently, I was explicitly asked to consider cosmetic surgery to better represent a beauty brand. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. That moment crystallized something I've long suspected. The disconnect between what beauty companies say and what they actually value has created cynicism among consumers. Pure Essence is taking a bold step to close that gap. Our new campaigns will feature real people, unretouched, unfiltered, and unapologetically themselves. A journalist raised her hand. "Miss Fleming, isn't this just another marketing gimmick? Companies have claimed to celebrate real beauty before, then quietly reverted to traditional approaches." A fair question, one I'd ask myself repeatedly. "The difference is accountability," I replied. "We're implementing transparency metrics for all campaigns, publicly reporting our use of digital enhancements or lack thereof. We're also establishing an advisory board of body image experts and consumers to review our messaging." Another hand shot up. "Will Pure Essence be discontinuing products designed to correct appearance flaws?" Helena stepped in. "We're reformulating our product descriptions to focus on health and self-care rather than fixing perceived flaws. Beauty products should enhance how people feel, not exploit insecurities." The questions continued for 30 minutes, some skeptical, some supportive. Throughout, I felt the weight of what we were attempting. This wasn't just a career move or revenge against Barrett, it was a genuine attempt to shift industry standards. As the conference ended, my phone buzzed with notifications. Industry blogs were already covering the announcement. Social media was erupting with reactions, mostly positive, though some cynical. And there, among the alerts, was a message from Inez. "You're amazing. Barrett is seething watching the live stream." I smiled but didn't reply. Barrett's reaction wasn't my concern anymore. The real work began that afternoon. Helena had assembled a team of marketing specialists, designers, and digital strategists eager for this new direction. Many admitted privately they'd grown uncomfortable with the industry's reliance on manipulation and impossible standards. Over the next weeks, we developed the campaign framework. We recruited everyday people with diverse appearances as models. We rewrote product descriptions to focus on ingredients and experience rather than transformative results. We created content guidelines prohibiting language that shamed natural features. It was exhilarating, exhausting work. Some days I felt we were genuinely changing things. Others I feared we were just creating more sophisticated marketing that would ultimately perpetuate the same problems. 1 month in, we faced our first major hurdle. Sales figures for the initial product line under the new approach showed a 12% decline compared to previous launches. The executive team called an emergency meeting. Sitting around the boardroom table, tension was palpable. "The numbers are concerning," the CFO stated bluntly. "Shareholders are already asking questions." Helena remained calm. "We anticipated an adjustment period. Consumer behavior doesn't change overnight. Neither does shareholder patience," he countered. "We need to consider a hybrid approach. Maintain the authentic messaging, but reintroduce some aspirational elements." All eyes turned to me. The unspoken question hung in the air. Was Barrett right? Did reality not sell? "May I?" I gestured to the presentation screen. With a few clicks, I displayed social media metrics alongside the sales figures. While unit sales are down, engagement is up 47%. Consumer sentiment analysis shows 68% positive response to our messaging, compared to 31% for our previous campaigns. I flipped to the next slide. Most importantly, repeat purchase intent among first-time buyers is up 23%. This suggests we're building stronger customer loyalty, even if initial acquisition is slower. The CFO frowned. "That's speculative. We need concrete results. Marketing isn't just about immediate sales," I countered. "It's about building brand relationships that sustain long-term growth. We're asking consumers to trust us after decades of industry manipulation. That trust takes time to establish. Helena backed me up. I propose we continue the current strategy for the full quarter before reassessing. If we pivot now, we'll confirm consumer skepticism that this was just another marketing tactic without substance. After tense debate, they agreed to continue, but with heightened scrutiny. Walking out, Helena whispered, "That was close." Too close, I agreed. We need to accelerate consumer education about why our approach matters. After that night, unable to sleep, I developed a new content strategy focusing on the psychological impact of traditional beauty marketing. We would directly address the harm caused by impossible standards and position Pure Essence as the solution, not just another beauty company with pretty words. As I worked, a notification popped up, an industry newsletter featuring an interview with Barrett. He was quoted saying, "Some brands are experimenting with authenticity marketing, but consumers ultimately want aspiration, not mirrors reflecting their flaws. These experiments may generate short-term buzz, but will likely prove unsustainable." His words stung more than I wanted to admit. Was he right? Was I leading Pure Essence down a doomed path? The doubt gnawed at me as I stared at my reflection in my darkened computer screen. Everything I'd worked for, my reputation, my career, my belief that change was possible, hung in the balance. And somewhere across the city, Barrett was probably sleeping soundly, confident that my rebellion would ultimately fail. 3 months into Pure Essence's rebranding, we faced a critical moment. Our quarterly earnings call loomed, and while sentiment metrics were strong, sales remained below projections. Investors were growing restless, and rumors circulated that the board was reconsidering our direction. I awoke that morning to industry news that sent a chill through me. Brightline had just landed Luminara, Pure Essence's largest competitor. Barrett's quote in the announcement was pointed, "Luminara understands what truly motivates beauty, consumers, aspiration, not complacency, disguised as authenticity." The message was clear. My approach was failing while his thrived. At the office, tension crackled through meetings. Marketing teams worked frantically to optimize campaigns, but we all felt the pressure. If the earnings call went poorly, everything we'd built could collapse. Helena called me into her office mid-afternoon. Her normally composed demeanor showed strain, dark circles visible beneath her eyes. "The CFO wants to present an alternative strategy to the board," she said without preamble. "A balanced approach that reintroduces traditional beauty marketing alongside our authentic messaging." My stomach dropped. That would undermine everything we've done. "I know," she rubbed her temples, "but without stronger sales figures, I'm running out of arguments to protect this direction." "We're building something sustainable," I insisted. "Traditional approaches might spike sales temporarily, but they don't create loyal customers." "Petra," Helena said gently, "I believe in what we're doing, but publicly traded companies answer to shareholders, not ideals. We need results." The subtext was clear. My vision, and possibly my position, was in jeopardy. That evening, I sat on my apartment floor surrounded by campaign materials, searching for answers. My phone buzzed with a text from Inez. "Have you seen this?" She'd sent a link to a beauty influencer's tearful video praising Pure Essence's unretouched campaign. "For the first time, I feel seen by a beauty brand," the young woman said, displaying our products. "My teenage daughter and I use these together now. We talk about real beauty instead of hiding from mirrors." Similar videos were emerging across platforms, women connecting emotionally with our message in ways they never had with traditional beauty marketing. The engagement was passionate, but not yet widespread enough to move our sales numbers significantly. We had touched hearts, but not enough wallets. The morning of the earnings call, I arrived early to find Helena in the conference room, reviewing presentation slides with the executive team. The CFO's alternative strategy deck sat prominently on the table. "We'll present both approaches," the CEO explained when he saw me. "The board will decide which direction to pursue." My heart sank. Put to a vote, traditional marketing would likely win. Numbers spoke louder than principles to most investors. As the call began, the CFO presented our quarterly figures without embellishment. Sales down 8% year over year, market share slipping 3 points, customer acquisition costs up 15%. Then came our metrics: engagement up 54%, customer retention improved 26%, positive sentiment at record levels, social media following doubled. "These emotional connections haven't translated to revenue," the CFO concluded. transitioning to his alternative strategy slides. When my turn came, I took a deep breath and deviated from my prepared remarks. Before presenting our path forward, I'd like to share something, I said, pulling up a video compilation we'd received from customers. These are the voices that traditional metrics don't capture. Women of all ages described how Pure Essence's authentic approach had changed their relationship with beauty products. Mothers spoke of daughters developing healthier self-images. Older women expressed feeling visible again after years of beauty industry neglect. Traditional beauty marketing creates spikes in consumption through manufactured insecurity. I continued. We're building something more sustainable, genuine brand loyalty based on respect rather than exploitation. This approach requires patience, but the foundation will be unshakable. Glancing at Helena, I saw cautious hope in her eyes. Other executives remained stone-faced. The board members on video remained inscrutable. After the call ended without clear resolution, the CEO approached me. The board is split. They've requested a comprehensive comparison of both strategies before making a final decision. We have 2 weeks. 2 weeks to save everything we'd built. 2 weeks to prove Barrett wrong. That night, inspiration struck at 3 a.m. Traditional beauty marketing succeeded because it created problems, then sold solutions. What if we directly exposed that manipulation while positioning Pure Essence as the alternative? By morning, I had outlined a bold approach, a campaign directly challenging the industry's psychological tactics. We would create side-by-side comparisons showing how traditional beauty ads manipulated images and emotions while demonstrating our authentic alternative. The team worked around the clock. We interviewed former industry insiders who revealed retouching techniques and psychological triggers embedded in traditional advertising. We gathered evidence showing how exposure to manipulated images affected mental health. We created compelling visuals contrasting manipulated beauty standards with authentic representation. 3 days before the board's deadline, a journalist contacted me, seeking comment on an industry rumor. Brightline's Luminara campaign was underperforming despite massive ad spend. Their aspirational approach wasn't resonating. I declined to comment publicly, but privately, it gave me hope. Perhaps consumers really were shifting away from manufactured perfection. The night before our presentation, Inez called. Barrett is panicking, she revealed. Luminara is threatening to pull their account. The aspirational campaign is tanking in focus groups. Consumers are calling it fake and out of touch. My pulse quickened. How bad is it? Bad enough that he called an emergency creative meeting. He actually said, and I quote, "Maybe we need to consider some authenticity elements." The irony was lost on him. I laughed for the first time in weeks. Keep me posted. The next morning, as we prepared for the board presentation, breaking news hit the industry. Luminara was terminating their relationship with Brightline after just 2 months. No official reason was given, but industry insiders cited strategic differences. Barrett's approach was publicly failing, while our board prepared to vote on abandoning ours. The timing couldn't have been more critical. Our presentation to the board was comprehensive, contrasting short-term sales tactics with long-term brand building. We showed emerging market research indicating growing consumer skepticism toward traditional beauty marketing, especially among younger demographics. The beauty industry stands at a crossroads, I concluded. We can continue manipulative practices that are increasingly rejected by consumers, or we can lead the authentic revolution. Pure Essence has the opportunity to define the future rather than cling to a fading past. The board deliberated in private for 3 hours. When they emerged, the chairwoman delivered their decision: continue the authentic approach with a 6-month evaluation period. If metrics don't improve significantly by then, we'll reconsider. It wasn't unqualified victory, but it was a chance. What happened next exceeded even my most optimistic projections. Within weeks, our campaign directly challenging industry manipulation went viral. Women shared stories of how beauty marketing had affected their self-image and expressed relief at finding a company that refused to perpetuate harmful standards. Sales began climbing, slowly at first, then accelerating. Retailers reported difficulty keeping our products in stock. Industry analysts published pieces questioning whether we were witnessing a fundamental shift in beauty marketing. 6 months later, Pure Essence reported record quarterly earnings. Our authentic approach hadn't just succeeded, It had transformed the company's market position. The board unanimously approved expanding our strategy across all product lines. The annual Marketing Excellence Awards arrived amid this success. Pure Essence was nominated for Most Innovative Brand Strategy, alongside 4 traditionally marketed competitors. Barrett would be there representing Brightline's campaigns for other clients. We would face each other for the first time since my departure. The ceremony was held in a grand hotel ballroom filled with industry elites. I spotted Barrett across the room, holding court with a group of admirers. He'd always thrived in these environments, his conventional good looks and charm opening doors throughout his career. He saw me and nodded stiffly. I returned the gesture and moved on. When the Most Innovative Brand Strategy category was announced, tension filled our table. Pure Essence had become the industry's talking point, but established powers often prevailed at these events. And the winner is Pure Essence Beauty for their Authenticity Revolution campaign. The room erupted. Helena squeezed my hand as we made our way to the stage. Standing at the podium, trophy in hand, I surveyed the audience. Barrett sat rigid in his chair, applauding mechanically. This award represents more than marketing innovation, I began. It recognizes that the future of beauty isn't about perfection, but authenticity. Not about fixing flaws, but celebrating uniqueness. I paused, making brief eye contact with Barrett. A year ago, someone suggested I should consider cosmetic surgery to better represent beauty products. That moment sparked a revolution, not just for me personally, but for how we approach beauty marketing altogether. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Many knew the story. Tonight, I'm grateful that suggestion was made, because it revealed an ugly truth about our industry that needed challenging. Sometimes rejection becomes redirection to something far better than we imagined. Barrett's face remained impassive, but his knuckles whitened around his drink. After the ceremony, he approached as I stood alone by the bar. "Congratulations," he offered stiffly. "Quite the comeback story." "Thank you," I replied simply. He swirled his drink, eyes not meeting mine. "You know, several clients have requested authentic elements in their campaigns recently. Apparently, it's the new trend." "It's not a trend, Barrett. It's a correction." His smile tightened. "Perhaps. Brightline is actually launching an authentic marketing division next month. I was hoping we might discuss you consulting on the initiative." And there it was, the sweetest revenge I could have imagined. Barrett, who had suggested I surgically alter my face to meet beauty standards, was now asking me to help him capitalize on the authentic approach he'd dismissed. His career, once ascendant, now depended on following the path I'd forged. "I'm flattered," I replied, "but my commitment is to Pure Essence. We're expanding internationally next quarter." Of course, his disappointment was poorly concealed. "The offer stands if you change your mind." As he walked away, I felt no triumph or vindictiveness, only a profound sense of vindication. My revenge wasn't destroying Barrett or Brightline. It was succeeding by embracing exactly what he had rejected: authenticity in an industry built on illusion. The next day, industry publications featured photos from the awards, including one of me accepting the trophy. My nose still had its slight crook. My smile remained asymmetrical. My scar was visible near my eyebrow, and none of it mattered, because I'd changed the conversation entirely. 6 months later, Pure Essence became the fastest-growing beauty brand in the market. Our authentic approach had created something traditional marketing rarely achieved: genuine emotional connection with consumers. Women didn't just buy our products, they believed in our mission. Barrett eventually left Brightline to start his own authenticity-focused consultancy, though industry insiders noted his approach seemed superficial. Aesthetic changes without addressing underlying manipulative tactics. Without understanding the core principle, he was merely imitating the surface. As for me, I received offers from major brands seeking to replicate our success, but stayed with Pure Essence, eventually becoming their chief marketing officer. The woman whose appearance had once been deemed a liability was now a recognized industry leader precisely because of her stance on authentic beauty. The ultimate revenge wasn't making Barrett fail. It was changing the standards by which success was measured. In an industry obsessed with appearance, I had made substance matter more. If you've stayed with this story until now, you probably understand something powerful. True beauty isn't about conforming to someone else's standards, but having the courage to be authentically yourself. The next time someone suggests you need to change to be valuable, remember that sometimes standing your ground can change the world instead. If this story resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that challenge how we think about beauty, success, and standing up for what's right. Your authentic self is your greatest strength. Never let anyone convince you otherwise.